Thanks a lot to Catherine Jamul, and I'm now very happy to welcome Christin Schink from HelloFresh, who will talk about how product thinking helps to unlock the value of data. Christin is Senior Product Director at HelloFresh, where she oversees product strategy, functional excellence, and talent development for the global data function. Christin joined HelloFresh from a role as Global Senior Product Director at Delivery Hero and Global Product Director at eBay. Please welcome Christin Schink.
Thank you. Yeah, hello. Big pleasure to be here. And what a great transition. Data mesh, iterations. The next 20 minutes, I'll talk about how product thinking at HelloFresh helped us to unlock the value of data faster. So really bringing to life a very specific part of the data mesh, which is treating data as a product. And also reflecting on maybe it's not only the data itself that needs to be treated as a product and needs some product love. So yeah, let's jump right into it. HelloFresh, for anyone who doesn't know HelloFresh, not a startup, not a scale-up anymore, really big corporate by now, over 20,000 colleagues across the globe, 18 countries, and not only meal kits that you get home and you prepare your food, but by now also ready-to-eat food, pets table for any pet owners in the audience, and good shop for anyone who admits still that they like a good steak in these times and days. What is really, really exciting about HelloFresh compared to other digital players or like classic groceries is the value chain. And it's interesting from a business perspective, from a product perspective, but also from a data perspective. So we have in-house product development. No matter which office you go to, Berlin, New York, Sydney, you always walk past a big kitchen and you will see chefs being very busy, literally cooking up new products for our customers. Now then, with these recipes that are developed, really, really big recipe database, we go into direct sourcing with providers, actually reduces a lot of food waste, and we run our own distribution centers. In some countries like Benelux, even the last mile delivery to our customers. A lot of data points, very, very different data sources, as you can imagine, super exciting. And then we go into what is like the traditional digital space. It's our app, it's our digital experience, it's our marketing. But it makes it really, really exciting and rich to have these different facets in the data value chain. I won't spend any time to go into detail of any of our models, but when we talk about the value of data, what do we actually mean? Of course, it's an AI conference. When we talk about applied machine learning, in this value chain, there are a lot of opportunities to automate, to really drive efficiencies. You can imagine just predicting the demand more precise, what it actually does to reducing food waste, what it does to your balanced scorecard. So that is the, say, unconventional part of the value chain. This probably looks more familiar. It's really the classic applications that you have in marketing. It's customer attraction, engagement, re-engagement, really smarter targeting. All of this really drives value. A lot of this is live. Not everything is live that you have seen, but this is what HelloFresh is really, really excited about, and also really believes in that flywheel that you see here. If you apply data as a beating heart, you actually really lower your cost structure significantly, which actually frees up budget that you then can use to develop your products, your digital experience, targeting, ML models, and you have that beautiful flywheel. So the more data, the better, right? Doesn't matter where it sits, doesn't matter which shape it is in. Of course not. Like, as every company, we also have a lot of dark data, a McKinsey term, I love it, a bit like dark matter. So it sits somewhere, we don't know where, and it's actually not really valuable or accessible for any other use case. And we are not different. One of the examples, just recent examples you see here, it's our onboarding experience. You come to our digital experience, and we ask you, hey, do you actually cook for your family? Do you want to have vegetarian dishes? Preferences, user preference. This is, everyone who works in personalization knows that is gold. That's not even stored. This is in our digital experience. It's used to onboard customers. But our marketing team screams and they go, this is really valuable data. We want this, right? It's not stored yet. Another example is our engagement team has really good data points on loyalty. How loyal are our customers? So when a few weeks back, our marketing team said, we are tired of waiting. It's weeks and months. We want this data. We actually looked into this. And of course, they put it in the data lake. At least we had it in S3. We worked with Amazon S3. But it was in no shape. And I don't need to explain what a good data as a product, what qualifies good data as a product. It could not be found. It was not safe. It was not trustworthy. And I'll share with you later what we did about that. So now, all of this dark data leads to the classic bottlenecks we all know. It leads to really long times to find data, to discover data. It leads to really long times to build trustworthy data assets. And if you just exchange data and you really, in the data mesh, don't govern, don't have a look at it, guess what happens to the quality of these data assets? Your sources very likely break, and you spend weeks and weeks of fixing data quality issues with your source while you're predicting things that are probably not relevant for your customer at all. Really, really tricky. Now, this is, and I talked about the scale of HelloFresh, when we said, hey, not only in the data mesh, people talk about treating data as a product, but product management is a discipline that's really, really interesting for us. Product management in general brings in these two perspectives. It looks at the business lens, Catherine just said it, like what is actually in for our business, and it brings the customer lens. HelloFresh in general has really strong user experience team. We do research, we look at a lot of feedback, and craft the experience according to that feedback. Now, the data strategy and data assets really follow that customer-centric strategy. Now, the data portfolio, of course, has internal customers, a lot of internal customers. Alone, our central tech organization in Berlin and in parts of the US is more than 1,000 colleagues. Decision makers, analysts, everyone working with data, at least 4,000 colleagues. So you see why it's probably not enough anymore to say, OK, I'm an engineer, I know what an engineer needs. I'm an analyst, I know what an analyst needs. But that they actually really want to have a strong product function. Now, one step aside from treating data as a product and all the things that we know very well, in general, what is product thinking? What do we mean with product thinking? 5 clear points here, and let me walk you through them. Your customer's ask is different from their needs. Sounds very trivial, but what product people do is they don't take a request and execute it. They try to find out what problem are you trying to solve. So if someone tells me, build me that dashboard, I try to find out what do they need that dashboard for? Do they need it regularly? Is that really a dashboard that they need? Is that maybe an insight that we have sitting somewhere? Because if the value is having that insight and there's an asset that solves it already, guess what the return on investment is? It's quite big compared to I just go and build it. So really asking, what are you trying to solve for? What do you need this for? One of the big principles of product thinking. The second one is that you often see in teams without a strong product function that the word user, customer, and stakeholder is used as synonyms. Yeah, it's our stakeholders, internal customers, the users of what we do. But they are very, very different. So if your chief marketing officer requests something, it is probably your stakeholder. Very likely, the user of what you're building are marketeers. And you should really talk to marketeers. You should observe them. You should see what their day-to-day looks like. Because very likely, although the CMO is an expert, and this is a really good starting point, he or she also didn't make time to sit down next to their colleagues and check what their day-to-day looks like and what they actually really need. And your customers, well, in the digital world, and customer experience is pretty straightforward. It's your end customer, in HelloFresh's case, the person that gets the box, the steak, or the dog food. But for us as a data team, our customers are often our C-level, so often our CTO, our CEO, the people who decide that they really want to sponsor data and data management and data governance and data platform. So these are the people that in a business case are actually your investors. Very, very different types of people to work with and groups, and very important to know the difference and really work across all of them. Otherwise, what you end up doing, you will probably be a data as a service request factory. You get a lot of requests in, and you will see your team struggling because they get the request and they want to solve it, and it gets more and more and more. Third point is, one solution serves multiple similar use cases. Also sounds pretty straightforward, but we have sometimes what we call dashboarding as a sport. So there's a product manager, there's a marketer, and they go, hey, build me that dashboard, help me to understand this specific thing. The amount of stale content that we have in Tableau is crazy. We actually did like an internal competition on who deletes the most stale content. This is so crazy how often something is created for one use case and then forgotten. Deliver value in small increments. We heard Catherine talking about it. It's hopefully also very, very clear. You see very often that in data teams, you have really long roadmaps, and it's unclear when are releases, when are the users actually getting some value, when do you get user feedback. The risk you're running is the longer you build, the longer you wait for feedback, the more likely it is actually that you build completely against what your users need. And the fifth point is you build it, you own it until you retire it. I just talked about stale content. That is, in general, product thinking. And a data product manager does exactly that in the data space. Now, the slide is rich, so let me walk you through it. When we say data product or data product manager, we very likely mean very, very different things. And often it starts with, and we heard Catherine talking about this, the personalization part here, so building ML models, having a data product manager who actually goes, hang on, how does it help our business? How does that help our customers? The type of product manager you want to have in teams like these is a product manager who has a really strong idea about the end customer experience, about your business model, and of course work with data scientists before, can really talk to data scientists and is understood. That's very different from the gray stars that you see here. So just to start, the source here is like one of your source systems in your data mesh, right? It's an operational system, could be a backend service. And the gray stars you see here, these are all, people would argue, also data products. They are platform products. But the profile you need for these products is very different from the profile that you need for a product manager that works with ML models. The people you want here are the people who are very comfortable with gathering everyone and their grandma and their grandma's dog to really understand all of the requirements to build a self-service platform. Part of the data mesh, but the data mesh talks about data as a product and not necessarily about product management yet in these platform roles. So if you build a data science platform with embeddings for your data scientists, or you build a data platform for your data engineers and backend engineers eventually, or you build a customer data platform, it's all platform. So what you want to have product managers that have a B2B background, that developed software as a service products before, because they really know these kind of dynamics. And then the blue star, this is really close to treating data as a product. This is your analytics world, that's your BI world. This is where you build a metrics layer and a business layer, and you really want people to understand what are the core data assets this company needs, a listed company in our case, compliant reporting. This company needs to reliably report on their performance. So this is really analytics. Here you have a product manager that, of course, brings that product thinking, but also maybe a background in analytics or BI, because these are the key customers here to serve. And then you see some gray stars here. You see a gray star on the BI and analytics front. It would be insane if you would now go, OK, Now I hire data product managers everywhere, and I put a data product manager next to my BI and analytics leads, and a data product manager next to the product managers that create the digital experience and build the back-end services. Why? Because you have a lot of chefs in the kitchen. Sorry, no pun intended, but if you work at HelloFresh, you have these. So you have a lot of chefs in the kitchen. And what we do in the BI case, you actually work with really, really smart analytics leads, and you go, hang on, let's talk about product thinking, and let's talk about doing it right. The thing you see here that I just walked you through is part of our BI and analysts onboarding. So everyone who comes in gets that into their onboarding, and we go, hey, this is what we expect you to think through if you get a request to build an asset, a dashboard, and so on and so forth. What we do with our tech and product development counterparts is we really try to close that gap between a data land and operational land by going, please think through your own data strategy for the product, for the experience that you develop. How does it contribute to HelloFresh's goal? How does it help our customers? And how will you measure success? Which metrics will you look at? And how do these metrics level up to our business metrics? And which data do you produce that you really need to have an eye on? And do you maybe also need data from someone else? Or does someone else need data from you? Are data contracts in place? And so on and so forth. That is a cheat sheet that we recently shared. We also shared this. But now when you talk about enabling these product development teams, what you really want to do, and that's another part of product thinking, you want to get their job done. Because what we asked them to do so far is, if you have your backend service on the very left here, please prepare the data into the DoD, the definition of done, so that the customer data platform can actually pick these things up. And they were like, well, nice, but now I need to study weeks and months of data engineering skills. I need to learn new tools, 8 different tools at some point, right? So in product thinking, what you do is you actually map out, that's nothing else than a user journey. You map out what jobs people need to get done, and you get it done for them. So our data platform here, called TARDIS, low-code, self-service, gets them from the first step of the data lake to their definition of done, which means that in this case here, the loyalty data, struggling for weeks and months, this team built 7 public pipelines, completely fulfilling data as a product requirements in less than 24 hours with a self-service platform. And that brings it back to creating value. I hope that was interesting. Thank you so much.